just starting tournament fishing, take my advice, check out this. So you want to go from being the weekend bank angler to a competitive angler. Now, let's narrow some stuff out here target audience wise. This is not for the guy who started at the high school level and is now going out fishing with his dad and moving into other tournaments. No. This is for the guy who fished on the weekends when he got off work and just went out there to catch bass, and then did that for years and years and years, but never thought anything about trying to actually catch bass competitively. This is for you. If you're the guy that does that. If you're the guy that went out and caught bass on the weekends and then never really thought of it as a competitive thing, just did it for fun, but now you want to switch to the competitive scene, this is a video for you on do's and don'ts, things that I've already learned, things that you should definitely take heed. The first thing, don't get caught up in you gotta have the right gear. Don't get caught up in that. You don't need all this expensive gear. Seriously, the gear that you have from Walmart works. That stuff, great. Keep using it. It's fine, right? Also, don't think you need to upgrade boats unless you're going into a major league, like you're going into the MLF, the Phoenix League. I wouldn't worry too much about that. But then again, you don't want to be the guy out there on your first few tournaments trying to be a boater either. Instead, what you want to do, honestly, is if you're going to do that, fish club tournaments first. I'm dead serious. Fish your local tournaments. Here in Kansas, if you're watching this, Kansas Buddy Bass. Those guys down there are awesome. They're really good guys. I really enjoyed my first season with them, and they helped me level up and get to where I am now. And if anything ever happens with MLF, you damn right I'm going to go back and fish that tournament series with them again. I'll leave the links for those guys down below so you can check them out, give them a look. Tournament fees are relatively all right. You got to do a bit of traveling depending on where you live, but they'll definitely get you steered in the right direction, and they're very supportive. Those guys really do care about the people who come in, and they're willing to help out a lot. So big shout out to those guys. Definitely wouldn't be where I am now without their support and actually the guidance on the tournament trails. Second thing is, if you are going to go into these tournaments, be okay with having an older boat. You don't need a newer one. Hell, you don't even need one with 150 horse. I did my first tournament on a 16-foot Bass Tracker with a 25 horsepower on the back. Dead serious. And it was me and one other guy. And literally, that's how we fished our entire season. And we did okay for people who really shouldn't have been able to compete the level that we did. I think we did all right. And a lot of that was the people that we were fishing against and with. Those guys really helped out. They really worked with you on the learning curves on things. And they weren't just trying to boot you out, thinking that, well, broke this rule, you're done. So definitely, fish club tournaments. They're worth it. Secondly, I would not recommend you jumping straight in to MLF right off the bat and just being a co-angler. I wouldn't recommend that as a start. And that's for 2 to 3 reasons. One, it's really expensive, and it can be very discouraging if you get some of these older boaters who are just, they're stuck in their ways. And a lot of them, they're not there to teach you. They don't care about really helping you. A lot of them don't. They're not supportive on that front. They care more about getting their win and moving on. You're just someone that they got to care for in the back. They're probably not going to put you on a good spot, right? They're probably not going to help you get taught. And that's just the plague that comes with most of these boaters on here. It's the unfortunate truth. They care more about their point standings. Now, is that every one of them? Absolutely not. But it is a lot of them. They're there to compete. They're not there to help usher you in. But they always advertise that position as a spot to learn and watch from the pros. Right? And that's literally all it is. Go over there, you pay $300 to sit and watch, because they're not going to put you in a good spot half the time. If you get a boater that's willing to, hey, I'm going to hit this same spot, but I'm going to turn on it sideways so that we can both hit it, you got a good one, right? That's what I'm going to strive to be, but there'll be times that I have to be like, hey, sorry, bud, I can't put you on this spot. I got to hit it. But that's beside the point. And so I wouldn't recommend that as a start, because you're just eating your own pockets without any real hard chance of getting your money back, unless you've already got some pre-established skill. Also on that one, you don't get to pick your locations. So you don't get the practice of going out there and finding your own spots, of learning the maps, of reading the sonar to figure out what you need. You don't get that practice in yourself, the trial and error to figure it out yourself. You can watch 1.5 million videos, but until you put it in practice, you don't know exactly what you're looking at on the maps. That's why I recommend doing the club tournaments. Lower cost, you get the experience of being a boater doing these things. And it's beneficial long term to actually be a boater doing a tournament and making your way there. So with that, the next thing is, don't get caught up in the trap of thinking you only need one practice day. You need to study the lake more than that. I got a video, post it down here, on the importance of practice. You need to practice. It's not just one of those you go out in a weekend and hope to get lucky thing. You need to make it where you have a repeatable process to go out and catch fish if you want to be able to win. I still practice to this day, knowing that I need to get far better if I want to compete on these higher levels. So that's practice. The last thing you need to do is understand you're going to suck. I mean, when you first get into it, you're going to suck. Unlike all of the high school or college series guys and then switching over to them, we have a different path here. We have to self-teach a lot of these things. Yes, you can ask people for assistance, but 9 times out of 10, everything you pick up is going to be something that you self-taught yourself. That's why I do the 1 day, 1 baits. That's why I do that. New techniques. If you're not comfortable with the technique, it's probably good for you to get out there and try to get comfortable with it. Like for me in the drop shot, that's something I know how it works. I know the application of where it's supposed to work, but it's not a confidence bait for me. I've never been able to keep it in my hand for more than a couple minutes before I'm just like, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. And that little voice in my head tells me that this is a bad bait. But then I set it down, I'm like, after a couple minutes, I'm like, I probably should have kept the drop shot in my hand. But I just don't have the confidence in that bait. And I need to get out there with a 1 day, 1 bait and get a good time for me to try to get the confidence up. And you need to do that too. Like, that was a jerkbait for me. I took that out one day, practiced with it. We used it the whole day, and I got huge confidence on. Now it's one of the baits that I usually have tied on. So, oh, and a spinner bait was another one. A year ago, I would have been like, spinner baits, whatever. Now it's one of my favorites. I love having it tied on. Or a spook is another one. So definitely having those 4 things lined out as your plan will get you where you need to be. So with those 4 things, let's recap them. First, don't obsess over gear. Second, fish lower club tournaments. Fish local tournaments. Don't skip the importance of practice. Understand the entire process of practice and implement it to give yourself a better fighting chance on game day. And last, practice new baits, even if you're not comfortable with them, and make them comfort baits. Those 4 things right there should give you a big edge on what you're doing. The last major tip I can do for you is that I can tell you something that we didn't do coming into this is always be aware of the climate that you're going into. Rain, when you're out there fishing a tournament, sucks. I'm going to tell you that right now. Especially if you're wearing clothes like what I'm wearing now. Just jeans and a t-shirt. Even if it's a warm day, rain sucks. It sucks being wet, puts you in a wrong state of mind. Focus on the weather you're going to have and keep that in mind. And having the right equipment on you for the weather you're in. Like if it's just freezing out, you need a lot of layers. A lot. Everything's colder on the water. So if it's 32 degrees outside, you need to dress for like it's 0. Seriously, a face mask, everything, gloves, ways to keep your fingers warm, all of it. But I mean, with that being said, those are the biggest things, guys. You really want to get into tournament fishing. Those are the things you need to kind of keep on your mind and keep focused, right? Because if you don't, you're going to go about it like I did, trial and error. It's going to be rough. You're not going to be having a good time. Your first few tournaments are going to be stressful. And you're going to have high hopes that are going to get dashed and crushed. And you're just going to have a bad time. But I stuck with it. And now we're where I'm at now, and tournaments are fun for me. So, just some words of advice for you. But with that being said, that's all I got for this video. Thank you for checking it out. Talk to you guys later.